What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Garry reveals shocking news. Garry is currently gearing up for a long-awaited bout with Geoff Neal after the pair's previous booking fell through. With the chance for the two to finally settle things inside the octagon, the stakes couldn't be higher for both men as Garry looks to continue his unbeaten streak, and Neal looks to bounce back from a loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov. With fight week rapidly approaching, Garry was seen in Brazil training at Chute Boxe alongside former lightweight champion Charles Oliveira, who's of course preparing to fight Arman Tsarukyan at UFC 300 in April. The pair were seen in photos alongside one another, as well as in training footage where Oliveira was working his submission game, with Garry being his grappling partner. As Team Renegade called it, Garry has taken a nomadic approach to training throughout his career. Rather than tie himself to one gym, the undefeated contender has traveled the world, training alongside some of the best fighters in the sport in order to give himself a wide scope to learn through. With a win over Geoff Neal, Garry will be able to cross off the first name on his hit list. Next up, let's take a look at Sean Strickland embarrasses YouTuber in sparring. Last month, Sean Strickland wanted very little to do with a content creator named Sneako when he was approached on camera. At the time, little came of the interaction. However, according to reports, Strickland and the content creator ran into one another in Vegas this week. This led to a sparring session at the UFC PI on Friday, where Strickland let the content creator have his fun and get his shots off for the majority of the encounter. Towards the end, however, Strickland gave Sneako a taste of his full potential, unloading on the creator with a flurry of punches as his corner threw in towel after towel. Despite the barrage of punches, the creator stayed on his feet, ultimately earning the respect of the former middleweight champ. The MMA community was quick to weigh in, with Movsar Evloev writing, "Sean Strickland, you should have went lighter, bro, and not throw bombs like he's Izzy or Drakus." Jake Shields also weighed in, writing, "Sneako showed he has heart." Another YouTuber, Slim Albahir, also weighed in, writing, "Why did he go so hard on him like that? Was Sneako that much of a threat to him? Seeing a high-level fighter bully guys that are just trying to learn the game makes me cringe, honestly." Jake Paul then weighed in, issuing a challenge to Strickland, writing, "Sean Strickland, you're embarrassing for trying to stop Sneako like that. You weren't even able to drop someone with no experience while going all out. You're a hard boxer that only picks on inexperienced people. I'll fly you to PR and we can fight on camera. If you win, I'll give you $1 million, half your net worth. But if you get dropped, you have to get better tattooed on you. DM me. But just like Paddy, I'm guessing you'll find a way to run." Strickland then responded, joking that Paul lost to a part-time boxer before then accepting his challenge. As Strickland's made clear in the past, there's nothing he loves more than fighting, meaning the former champ likely isn't kidding about his willingness to box Paul. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC Fight Updates. With the UFC 298 event right around the corner, let's take a look at this week's UFC Fight Updates, starting with two new additions to the UFC Fight Night card at the Apex on March 2nd, with reports indicating a heavyweight fight between Jairzinho Rozenstruik and Shamil Gaziev will headline the card. In addition, reports have also indicated that Umar Nurmagomedov finally found an opponent willing to fight. After undergoing surgery and being forced out of his previously scheduled fight with Corey Sandhagen, Nurmagomedov will now fight UFC newcomer Bezkat Almakhan, who boasts a professional record of 17-1 and has not lost since 2020. The following week at the UFC 299 card, a previously scheduled fight between Philippe Lins and Ian Cutelaba has been rescheduled for the pay-per-view event in Miami. The pair were previously scheduled to compete back in October. However, the fight fell through the day of the event. Later that month at the UFC Fight Night Ribas vs. Namajunas event on March 23rd, Igor da Silva and Andre Lima will collide in a flyweight bout that will see both fighters look to extend their unbeaten records after Dana White's Contender Series victories. Shifting gears and looking at the month of April, Anshul Jubli has been forced out of his scheduled fight, with lightweights Maheshati and Gabriel Benitez now fighting on the event. Maheshati will be looking to snap a two-fight skid going back to 2022, while Gabriel Benitez will look to bounce back from a January loss to Jim Miller. Last but certainly not least in the way of fight updates, a featherweight bout between Joe Anderson Brito and Jack Shore has been added to the UFC 301 card on May 4th. The bout will see Brito look to build on a 4-fight win streak, while Shore looks to build on a March victory over Makwan Amirkhani. Next, let's take a look at Conor McGregor vs. Nate Diaz 3 at the Vegas Sphere. UFC CEO Dana White recently indicated that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler would not be competing in June, as the former champ had previously indicated on New Year's. The news left many fans puzzled, while Ariel Helwani theorized that the UFC is attempting to ice McGregor out, given that he only has 2 fights left on his contract, and the UFC may want to use him as a bargaining chip heading into broadcasting negotiations with ESPN. But despite that, with White stating that McGregor won't be fighting in the summer, talk has now shifted to the highly anticipated UFC event at the Sphere in September for the Noche UFC event. During the Ringer MMA show, Helwani indicated that even if McGregor does in fact return in the summer as he hopes, the UFC should book McGregor versus Diaz 3 at the Vegas Sphere in September.
What if Conor comes back on June 29th, and let's just say it goes his way? Main event, Sphere, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 3. Come on, what is he all about? What are they all about? They want to make history, right? You don't think Conor wants to be the first guy to headline the Sphere, where his fellow countrymen, you two, have been, but then you got the Diaz component.
I know.
What do you guys think?
Of course, if Helwani's theory that the UFC is keeping McGregor on ice intentionally is to be believed, then it's unclear when the promotion will schedule him to return to action. Next, let's take a look at Alex Volkanovski's coach sends warning to Ilia Topuria. Heading into UFC 298, Ilia Topuria has continued to express his confidence leading up to the biggest fight of his career. With Alexander Volkanovski fresh off a loss to Islam Makhachev, Topuria believes that the fight will be his chance to usher in a new era for the featherweight division. Despite that, the featherweight champ has big plans and has vowed to put on a sensational performance against the challenger in order to remind the world just what he's capable of after his short notice loss to Islam Makhachev. Ahead of the fight, Volkanovski's coach, Joe Lopez, spoke to It's Time for Sports to share his thoughts on the fight, while also issuing a warning to Ilia Topuria.
They all present their own dangers and challenges, and like I said, we look at those things, we tick all the boxes, and come game day, let's see how Ilia feels when Volks is in front of him, and even worse when Volks puts his hands on him. If Alex grabs him, he's gonna feel the strength and the why back in the day they used to call him the Hulk. He's just got incredible strength.
With the odds nearly even heading into the bout, and Volkanovski eager to break the long-standing curse of 35-year-old fighters competing in championship bouts below 155 pounds, it'll be interesting to see how things play out. Next, let's take a look at Jon Jones declines UFC 300 fight. With Tom Aspinall clamoring for the chance to defend his interim heavyweight belt rather than waiting for Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic to settle things inside the octagon, there's been quite a bit of talk regarding when that fight will actually take place. While the expectation is that Jones will return in 2024, a recent clip of the champ tackling someone onto a crash pad has gone viral, leading many to assume that the heavyweight champ must be close to returning. According to Fox Sports' Dane Lillingstone, this isn't the case, and Jones recently turned down a UFC 300 fight with Stipe Miocic. Lillingstone caught up with Jones outside an airport, where he asked about his status, relaying an update to fans, writing, "Update, Jon Jones says he's still 5 months away from a return from injury. Says he turned down offer for UFC 300 2 days ago to fight Stipe Miocic.
A couple of days ago to be headline UFC 300. I got a call from Hunter Campbell, one of the head lawyers of the UFC, asking me, said, John, I know it's only 9 weeks away, but if there's any chance you're feeling up to it, man, it'd be awesome news for the community that you're coming back and headlining one of the biggest events ever. As honored as I am for the opportunity, I just don't think I'll be ready. I just don't. And so I'm getting up there in age. I only have a few more events left, and I want to give those events my all and make sure that I come back 100%.
Jones returning in 5 months would mean that he's targeting a midsummer return, giving him plenty of time to compete before the end of the year. Of course, Tom Aspinall has indicated that he would really like to defend his interim title rather than wait for Jones and Miocic to fight, with the rumored summer card in Manchester being the most likely scenario. With Jones's return on the horizon, it's safe to say that this is an exciting time for the heavyweight division. Next up, let's take a look at Dana White reveals more information on UFC 300. As Dana White indicated previously, when the UFC 300 card kicks off on April 13th, he expects fans to be blown away from the opening bell, all the way through to the final fight of the evening. Fans, of course, then began to crack jokes about White's claim after a fight between Jessica Andrade and Marina Rodriguez was booked for the event, with many expecting the bout to kick off the evening's festivities. As Dana indicated during a recent interview with the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the first fight of the night won't see Andrade and Rodriguez square off as many expected. It will see former bantamweight champion Cody Garbrandt square off with former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo.
Obviously, I want to deliver the best card that's ever been built. I mean, if you look at every fight on the card right now could be a main event. on either a fight night or a pay-per-view. I mean, we're opening the card. The first prelim of the night is Garbrandt and Figueiredo. I mean, what does that tell you?
While we know what fight will kick off the event, what isn't known is which fight will headline the event. With ticket pre-sale being pushed back, fans are wondering what the UFC has up its sleeve. According to Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier, he has a pretty good idea of what the main event will be. He spoke in a video for his YouTube channel.
So as I'm sitting here still waiting for the main event of UFC 300, which if I'm being completely honest, I have a pretty good idea of what it is. I am just not going to tell you, because then I'll get in trouble. You know the whole thing, right? Lose your job, lose your money.
With progress being made behind the scenes, hopefully we have word on a main event bout sooner rather than later. The MMA community goes off on Dana White for struggling to find a UFC 300 main event fight after details were announced about Jon Jones being offered a headlining fight. Here's what the community had to say. Damn, they're actually struggling bad finding a main event, asking an injured Jon Jones to headline. So this proves they have no main event. Dana was lying as usual when he said you can't handle the main event. It's incredible. They have nothing. It's gonna be Leon versus Bilal, and that will actually hurt the ratings. Yeah, Dana is sweating for this UFC 300 event. They should just add 2 more title fights for 300 since there's no super fights or big names. Make the belts and stakes the selling point for the first time ever. 4 belts on the line. Done. Open the checkbook, Dana. Oh man, sounds like Dana and Hunter are scrambling to find a main event. Damn, they're scrambling for headliners. Jesus. UFC down bad right now. UFC are scrambling for a main event. Paddy Pimblett gets called out by Renato Moicano on the live CFFC 129 broadcast. Here's what he had to say.
Give me the microphone right now because I have something to say. Hey, Paddy Pimblett, you are I will beat you. I'm sorry for cursing on national TV, but these guys suck. And let me tell you something. UFC doesn't have the to put me against him. And another thing, Joe Morgan, I'm gonna tell, don't listen to what I say. Somebody just texted me, Benil Dariush, say he's better than me in every aspect of the game. That is only way to prove. If UFC doesn't have the balls to put me against Paddy Pimblett, Benil Dariush, prove yourself from Brazil against the money man, Moicano.
Top comments. The only thing historic about UFC 300 so far is the number. Cokehead McNuggets with 1 win in 8 years. Why would anyone want to buy UFC 300 tickets now when you don't know who's fighting and the announced fights aren't even 100% guaranteed to be on the card? O'Malley is rematching someone that's not even in the top 5. How is that a big win? Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.